Hi, I'm Dr. Ann Marie Gorczyca from Walnut Creek, California. Why did I want to become an orthodontist? Well, I think I must have been in love with my orthodontist since seventh grade. I just adored him and I loved my orthodontic experience. And the thing that really impressed me as a seventh grader was that he had a saltwater fish tank in his reception room. It was Dr. Lawrence Oliveira from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And he was a great guy. And he was a friend of the family. His mother worked with, his sister worked with my mother. So when he opened his new office, my mom said, "We've got to go see Dr. Oliveira." He was the coolest guy. He had a Corvette convertible. And the only place I'd ever seen that before was with Barbie. And he worked 4 days a week. And that also made a huge impression on me. And I just thought the whole environment, the job, everything about it was just so fantastic. And you know, in the seventh grade, you don't think much about what are the requirements, how long is it going to take, how much is it going to cost. I just had this vision. I wanted my own office, and I wanted it to be as much fun as Dr. Larry Oliveira's office. So I never looked back, and I never changed my mind since the seventh grade. I'm just thrilled to be an orthodontist, own my own office. And if I could, I'd do it all over again. Well, orthodontics means to me, we have the statement in our office, smiles change lives. And the transformation that we are able to make in either a young person's life or an adult life to give that person confidence and make them feel good about their smile, it's life-changing. I'll never forget a professor I had at Northwestern University in the orthodontic residency program. He had a patient in the Olympics for gymnastics, for women's gymnastics, and he had done this young lady's braces, and her smile was beautiful. And he came in one day to the residency program, and he said, "Did you see that smile? Did you see those American smiles? Did you notice how the Americans were all smiling, but some of the gymnasts from other countries were not smiling?" And he said, "It's because they haven't had orthodontic treatment." And he was just so proud. And I do think that it is just something that just makes a person feel really good about smiling. And smiling is like the universal welcome. So it does change lives and give a positive outlook to someone's personality. Well, orthodontics, wow, that's a pretty deep question. What does it mean to society? Well, in a way, it means we can be the best that we can be. You know, if you're born with a malocclusion or with some type of abnormality, dental facial defect, you can fix it and we can help you. So it benefits society to be able to give patients those options, and especially in the healthcare of sleep apnea and you know, breathing and sleeping and how it affects learning. It benefits society in a positive way. Well, perhaps most people don't know that I was a flutist for many, many years. Also in the seventh grade, I started playing the flute in the New Bedford Symphony with my first flute teacher, Faust Fiore of Fall River. He was a New England Conservatory graduate. And then I moved on to the Fall River Symphony. And then in college, I played in the MIT Symphony. We played in Carnegie Hall. Then during dental school, I played in the Longwood Symphony in Boston. And my flute teacher was the piccolo player in the Boston Symphony, Lois Schaefer. And I'd go to her home every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I think I was probably her only private student. But believe it or not, in dental school, I used to practice my flute 2 hours a day. And I played in that Longwood Symphony for 5 years. And then I moved on to Northwestern. I played in the Northwestern Downtown Symphony. I studied with Donald Peck, principal flutist of the Chicago Symphony. And then I moved to San Francisco and I played in Symphony Parnassus, which has become a very good symphony in the San Francisco Bay Area. But then when I opened my own practice, I really had to give up the flute playing. But I had already played in symphonies for all those years. I still remember my last concert, we played the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and that was always a dream of mine. And I played piccolo in that concert, and the last movement has a really good piccolo solo. So that was kind of my finale. And now I have a 19-year-old son in college, and he's an excellent violinist. So I'm getting to relive the whole experience with him. Another thing people might not know about me is when I moved to San Francisco for one of my first jobs at UCSF in the orthodontic department and doing some research at UCSF, I lived right across the street from Golden Gate Park, which was really a tennis mecca. And I really wanted to learn tennis. So I went down to the park. I signed up for some tennis lessons. And then I thought, gee, I'm not going to be very good if I don't buy a ball machine. So I bought a ball machine and I would practice every day. And then I started entering a few tournaments. I actually went to study at the Nick Bollettieri Tennis Academy in Florida. And one day I was in a tournament at San Francisco City College. And I made it through a few rounds. And afterwards, the coach from San Francisco City College came up to me and said, hey, do you want to be on the tennis team? And I was like, wow, this is like a dream come true. That would be like the most exciting thing I could ever do in my life. And I was already an orthodontist. I was teaching at the university and I was working in a group practice in Fairfield, California. But I said to myself, I'm going to make this work. I really want to do this. It's only a 2-year commitment. How can I make this work? So at that time, I was teaching Mondays in private practice, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I told the coach, I can make some of the practices, but I can't make all of the practices. And she said, that's fine. But you have to be a full-time student at the junior college. So I actually signed up for night school. And that was one of the best things I ever did in my life because I took a financial planning class, which was so fabulous to, any young orthodontist listening, I highly, highly recommend you take a financial planning class because it will change the course of your entire life. It will change how you save money, how you invest, how you plan for the future. And then I also took an investment class that was taught by a professor from UC Berkeley that was teaching a night school class at the City College. And that was when I first learned about retirement plans and 401ks and 403bs. And that was really fabulous as well. And it blends right into business management. I really learned a lot while I was doing the tennis and taking those classes. And I will say, I was also new to California. I was originally from Massachusetts and I had spent time in Chicago, but I hadn't really been around California. And being on the tennis team, we played in Sacramento, in Modesto, in Santa Barbara. We went down to San Diego. We went to Palm Springs. It was just the most fabulous experience of my life, and I'm so glad I took the time to do that. So those were the days. Those were fun days. And right after I finished the tennis team, I'd been working for 7 years, and I was 35 years old. That was when I opened my own practice, and I was 100% ready. And once I opened my practice, that was 100% working on the practice. For me personally, I find impacted canines very challenging. If they're started early, great. But if you get a case in the gray zone, which I would say age 15 to age 23, and you still go for it, those are very hard cases. And for the young orthodontists out there, I recommend after age 23 that they really do not try to bring in impacted canines. They just become impossible. Once you get over age 15, you're already pushing the boundary of how easy or unpainful that case is for the patient and how long it's going to take. It could take easily a year to bring in an impacted canine. So I find that to be the most difficult case for me in my practice. Wow, that's a very complicated question. I would say the use of technology in everything we do, but especially in practice management. It's unbelievable now that at a push of a button, you can send a mass email out to everybody in your database. And for a marketing tool, that is incredibly powerful. And it costs you nothing, you know. I think that text messaging, you really don't need as many dental assistants as you once needed. You don't need as many people at your front desk. And then Invisalign obviously has changed orthodontics, and even that has decreased the number of dental assistants that are needed. So I would say all the technology, but specifically in the area of dental practice management, that we've had huge cost-saving measures with the use of technology. I think that orthodontic practices will become more boutique practices. More general dentists are doing Invisalign, and rightfully so. They can do easy cases. You know, the technology helps them. I think that orthodontists are going to become more in demand for orthodontic surgery cases, extraction cases, impacted canine cases. I think that our cases will become the difficult ones. We will charge more, and we will be more specialized. So we will be more of a boutique practice rather than a treat everyone type of practice. I will always have a special place in my heart for the Journal of Clinical Orthodontics, because when I was a student at Harvard School of Dental Medicine and I was completing my master's degree at the Harvard School of Public Health and the Department of Health Management and Policy, my thesis was published in the JCO. And Phil Vogels, maybe you could look up that picture and show that picture from I believe it was 1989 that an article came out. That was my very first article. So I was reading the JCO in dental school. And when I was getting my master's degree in the Department of Health Management and Policy, there were a lot of very wonderful dentists there. And at the time, I didn't realize even who these people were. They were just my friends. But later on, after I graduated, I'd say, Jennifer, you know that guy, John, that was in our class? He's the dean at University of Iowa. And we'd be like, oh my God, right? There were a lot of really up and coming dentists that did that master's degree in public health. And they recommended the JCO. When I went to publish my article, that was the first journal that they recommended, because the JCO was perhaps the first journal to really publish dental practice management articles. So I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for the JCO. Well, I'm fortunate to read a lot of practice management papers, to review them. And I'm also fortunate to have the opportunity to interview some experts in dental practice management that I really want all the readers to know about and know the services that they provide. For example, I think one of our first articles that we did together when I took over the management and marketing section with the Ask Ann Marie was an interview with Wendy Askins from Prosperident Company. And that is one thing that I think every orthodontist in the world should know is, you know, how to check that you're not being embezzled, that, you know, your cash is getting to the bank and something like that. And if you have a problem, who to reach out to. I don't see any articles like that in any other journal. And if anyone listening wants to email a question to the management and marketing section, email me at amgortho@aol.com. That's my private email. Email me, and if I don't have the answer, I will find the answer, or I will find the expert that can answer your question. So I think that the management and marketing section is very broad, and there isn't any aspect of orthodontic practice management, business ownership, or marketing that we can't discuss, talk about, or write an article about, or interview an expert about. The JCO is an international journal where everyone is welcome. Unlike the other journals, it is not affiliated with an association. I'm very impressed that at the JCO we are able to accomplish things very quickly because we're speaking directly with the publisher. And versus perhaps in some nonprofit organizations, a lot of times the planning goes through the committee, and then there's the committee, and then there's another committee, and then the final committee picks. And it could be like 2 years before anything is accomplished. But at the JCO, something comes through, you can get it done in a very quick time. And also, I think the JCO, everyone is welcomed. You know, you're not part of a specific group or specific club or specific organization. It's open to every practicing orthodontist throughout the entire world. And that is something very special about it that I really love. Well, in a way, I know that the JCO is a refereed journal, but in a way, it represents freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of research ideas, freedom of publish the case that you want to publish. And it gives a lot of orthodontists a lot of opportunity that they might not have with some of the other journals. I also love the fact that the JCO has the pictures of all the researchers. It's very unique, but I love seeing the people doing the work, and I love seeing where they're from and what university they're from or what private practice they're from. I've often heard that the JCO is like the People magazine of orthodontics. It's very popular, and people like getting it, and they like going through it because they see new faces, they meet new people, and they learn new things. Well, JCO is focused on data. It is not necessarily an opinion. The articles are very good, and they're scientifically written with references. I love talking to my fellow orthodontists, and they might answer a question like, what's your favorite bonding adhesive? And I'd love to discuss it and hear what their opinions are. But I like to see the data on bond failure, flow. I'd like to see the data. And the JCO takes it a step further. It would be like taking an entire social media group, giving a survey to all of them, and then putting all the data together. So it's a little bit more comprehensive than just a social media group. I think JCO was really a leader most recently in the TADS introduction to the profession. I know that Jay Park wrote quite a number of articles that were quite excellent. So in recent time, I think that's one of the most outstanding collection of works that have been in the JCO. For me personally, I used to love to read the articles of Berta Melson. Was she an editor? What do you remember the years when she was an editor?
Oh, a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Well, for me as a woman orthodontist graduating in 1990, that really meant a lot to me because in 1990, there were very, very few women in the orthodontic profession and even fewer who were publishing anything. And I just remember seeing Berta Melson. She was kind of like my hero of women orthodontists. And I just think it was fabulous that she was involved with the JCO. That really meant a lot to me during my professional development. The JCO is worth having and worth reading. I mean, you will always pick up new information, interesting information. The articles are very interesting. They're an easy read. It's not a heavy read. And I think that absolutely everything in the JCO will capture your attention. So if you don't have much time, it's much easier to pick up the JCO and read through the articles than spend 4 hours on the internet in orthodontic chat rooms to try to figure out, how you want to handle something or learn something new. It's really a fabulous publication, and I'm honored to be a part of it. From a practice management standpoint, I wish I had known more about the reports that were available through my computer software system. As I learned more and more about, I have Ortho 2 in my practice, as I learned more and more about the reports available, and I started reviewing those reports and acting on them, it really helped me streamline my practice. It eliminated a lot of waste. It eliminated a lot of lost patients. And I wish that had been taught in my orthodontic residency program. But the best place to learn that is probably at one of the user meetings for your computer software, no matter which one you use. And in my practice now, every month I review the pending list, the missed exam list, the missed recall list, the patients over treatment time, accounts receivable, insurance aging, and we go over those reports as a team, and people are assigned to those reports. And it really has cleaned up my practice over the years to continue to go over those reports on a weekly basis. Well, my best advice would be to always stay positive. Owning a business, I don't care what business it is. It doesn't have to be orthodontics. It could be a car manufacturing company, or it could be a restaurant, any business in the world. Business owners face a new challenge every day. Jack Welch used to say at General Electric, every day there's a new challenge. And rather than perhaps getting upset about it, I think that business owners, practice owners should expect it, anticipate it, and have courage and work on their skill how to handle these challenges. Well, I have quite a bit of advice for residents. My best advice would probably be to aim to own their own practice. Because with practice ownership, you have equity, that all your hard work is going into the value of your practice, which eventually upon sale you will reap. But you also have freedom to do whatever you want. You have the freedom to hire who you want, work with who you want, work the days that you want. I think practice ownership especially is very good for women orthodontists who want to combine a professional career and a family, because you can work as many days a week that you want. You can take off time whenever you want to attend your child's school functions. Or I remember when my son was young, he was taking Suzuki lessons, and I had to be at his lesson every Tuesday afternoon at 3:30. And so Tuesdays I just work from, I think, 8 to 1, and then I'd go pick him up for those years. And that is a huge benefit to owning your own practice. My best clinical pearl is to not be afraid to tell a patient that they are a surgery case. When you recognize that a patient is a surgery case and you send them to the maxillofacial oral surgeon and they're approved for surgery, you can complete many cases to perfection in about 13 months. But when you don't recognize that a case is a surgery case and you really try to do heroics, or heaven forbid you try to camouflage it, that patient can be in treatment for years and get a less perfect result. And, many patients get plastic surgery for things that I think are a lot less important than orthodontic surgery. And I think when you point out to someone that they're maxillary deficient or they're mandibular prognathic or they have a long face, and you show them the options of what orthodontic surgery can provide, they're going to accept that ideal treatment and they're going to do it. I think my highest case acceptance rate is probably for orthodontic surgery patients. So I would tell orthodontists, don't be afraid to state the obvious and tell your patient to go for the ideal treatment. I think you'll be surprised how many will.